Welcome everybody. I'm Ian. This is Rich.
Sports fans.
We're just two Canuckleheads talking sports. So, how you doing, man?
I'm pretty good. You?
I'm doing all right.
Good. That's good. I got a bit of a thing that's bugging me. I feel like I need to talk about. So I know
It's not me, is it?
Well, we don't have enough time for that. So let's stick to stuff that we can contain.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Well, I know you're not as big a baseball fan as I am, but there's all kinds of talk these days about. I mean, baseball's in a great place.
Yeah.
And so, but there's this pending labor issue that's
Right.
going to be coming up with baseball because the owners and the league, I guess too, want a cap. The players are, fighting tooth and nail against having a cap, and I think yeah, please.
Is it all players who are fighting against the cap, or is it just the upper echelon?
No, well,
players fighting against
it's the general consensus,
Yeah.
and that's part of the issue is
Right.
that the cap isn't good. It's going to limit things and all of this stuff, and it's not good for the players and
Right.
the association. I don't know if they're supporting that based on the players' opinions, or if they're saying this is not good and the players are in support of that opinion.
Right.
But the reality is that two of the three. I mean, I guess you could count the NHL as the four
Right.
major North American sports.
Right.
That have, the four major North American sports. Baseball is the only one that doesn't have any kind of
Right.
cap or
Yeah.
salary structure
Yeah.
that resembles some kind of a cap. And the others are doing great.
Yeah.
Except maybe baseball is the weakest. Not baseball, sorry. Football is the weakest
Football.
for a whole bunch of other reasons. But it's still not hurting them that much. And
Okay.
when you think about like basketball, probably I think is the most successful sport that has employed a cap. It might actually have been the first.
Yeah.
And if you compare the salaries of basketball players
Right.
to baseball players, there's no comparison in terms of how much prosperity basketball players in the NBA are enjoying the kind of prosperity compared to baseball players who are not in that 1%,
Yeah.
who is in the upper class
Right.
of earnings.
Right.
So, I mean, when you look at it in terms of that 1%, baseball players are not necessarily, by and large, making a lot more on an annual basis
Right.
than basketball players, and there's more basketball players that are making upper echelon levels of salary than
Right.
there are baseball players.
Well, there is a discrepancy in that there are far more baseball players than there are basketball players, right? That has to have something to do with it.
So
It'll stretch your budget thinner,
you know what?
right?
The thing about it though is I don't know if there's. There's, let's say on a roster, there's maybe it's almost twice as many
Right.
baseball players on the major league roster compared
Right.
to what you'd have on an NBA roster.
Right.
But the key factor I think is the cap for basketball is somewhere, I don't know, I haven't looked up the figures of late, but it's somewhere in the high 170, 80, maybe even 90 million as the cap.
Right.
The upper echelon of teams in baseball that what in terms of their spending on
Yeah.
their roster,
Yeah.
there's the Dodgers
Right.
and everybody else,
Yeah,
but the Dodgers are crazy.
Yeah.
Their annual roster expenditures approaching 400 million this year. But
Wow.
the other upper echelon teams in terms of spending are
Yeah.
around 200 million
Right.
per year on their roster.
Right. Right.
So it's equivalent to basketball in terms of what their cap is
Right.
with those. And the real problem, and what people don't talk about with a cap, is when it's implemented, it comes with a floor.
Right.
So
Right.
the real problem, I think, that nobody talks about is the fact that there's so many teams in Major League Baseball that are spending so little in terms of their salaries for their roster.
Yeah.
So you look at the Dodgers, or even the Jays, who are now approaching like $300 million.
Yeah.
There are, I'm going to guesstimate, but the ballpark is between maybe 6 and 8 teams at the bottom of Major League Baseball that are really non-competitive year in, year out, that don't even spend 70, 80 million on their entire roster. Ohtani's annual salary, one player, is 70 million.
Yeah.
Soto's salary is in the 50s, but he's got his contract is 700 million over 15. I think he's 10 years or whatever. But no, Ohtani's 10 years. He's closer to 15, I believe. But so that's the problem.
Right.
Is that you have to force the teams that are not spending on players to spend more.
Right. That's
going to benefit the for lack of a better term, lower class and middle class of MLB players.
Right.
So I mean, there's a strong, when you look at basketball, basketball has a strong middle class that earn. I know it sounds crazy to call it the middle class, but we're talking in the context of professional sports. Between maybe 20 to 40 million, or 15 to 35 or something like that.
Yeah.
That's the middle class of basketball.
Yeah.
There's no such middle class in baseball. You're making
up here
major dollars, upwards of 30 mil.
Yeah.
And there's a cluster of guys that are doing that. Everybody else is probably making somewhere between 15 and below.
Yeah.
And so how is not having a cap servicing those guys?
Because having that cap raises the floor.
It creates
you
a floor
have to make
that teams
a particular amount of money.
Yeah.
This is what your lowest will be paid, and then
they have individual salary minimums, which are comparable.
True. Yeah.
But the team, so you look at Pittsburgh is notorious for they haven't spent money in years. They've spent a little in this off season, but for years they haven't signed a significant free agent.
Right.
They don't spend, like nobody on their payroll is making over 10 million, maybe 15 million.
Right.
Nobody has a longer term contract than 3 years. That kind of stuff. So and there's revenue sharing.
How do they survive?
Well, that's the kicker. There's revenue sharing that they benefit from, because the teams that are playing, so there's no cap, but there's a luxury tax and there's levels. So if you spend a whole lot, like the Dodgers, the reason the Dodgers are their payroll is like close to 400 million or over 400 million, or will be, is like almost half of that is tax. Yeah. So the league is taking that money in and redistributing it to the poorer
teams,
franchises, or the franchises that claim that they're poor and they can't afford because they don't have the revenue streams and they don't have the big market,
players,
all that stuff to spend that kind of money.
Right.
But they're taking the revenue sharing and lining their pockets,
and they're not giving it to the
instead
players.
of taking that money and injecting it into making the team better. Either through salaries or better resources or all that stuff. So the issue really is around making sure that the teams that don't spend money spend to a certain level. Yes, you're going to get limitations on what big market franchises like the Dodgers and the Jays and the Yankees can spend, which is not a bad thing, but nobody's talking about cutting that spending back. And once that horse has left the barn, if the Dodgers are spending around 400 million with taxes, if you take away what they're spending, what their tax bill is, it's still about 250 million. Nobody's going to roll it back from that on a cap.
And the league, you're sure that the league is taking that tax money and distributing it amongst the lower teams?
Oh, it's part of the rules.
Or are they dropping some of it in their pockets?
Well, no. The rules, the collective bargaining agreement, and how that works is that. So there's that stuff's being governed and looked after and taken care of and making sure.
Yeah.
But the idea behind it is that the teams that don't have the big market revenue streams and the media revenue and all that stuff from the private media companies that they all own to distribute their product and all that, it gets redistributed with the teams that don't have those kinds of opportunities and resources. And in theory, the idea is that they take that money and put it into the team to create a better product.
That's right.
To start raising the value of their product and the competitive value of their product, and all of that stuff, as opposed to just spending. Like, I'm sure if you look into the records, you'll see that the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I'm singling them out, but you could take the Miami Marlins, you could take the Athletics, you could take a handful of those the teams that are always around the bottom in terms of spending, and coincidentally, pretty much always around the bottom of the standings in terms of competitiveness.
Right.
And over the last 10 years, their roster spending has probably fluctuated, maybe give or take 10%. So the money that they're getting from the teams that are spending all that money and paying all this tax, where's it going?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Who's benefiting from that? Are the fans
who's
benefiting from that?
Who's monitoring that, for one thing?
Well,
the league should be monitoring that, and it sounds like they're not.
I don't know if all the league can really be responsible or held responsible for monitoring, when you think about it, is that they are doing right by dispersing that money the way it's supposed to be distributed.
Yeah.
And the teams that are getting the money are going to be monitoring that, making sure they're getting what they're supposed to be getting.
Right.
The fans.
But then what they do with it?
Yeah. Well, so the fans really are the ones that need to monitor that to some degree, unfortunately, because there is no cap and there's nothing that's forcing to spend. So if you have a cap that has a floor, now the league can say, hey, your payroll of 70 million has to bump up. If the floor is 100 million, you got to make sure that on the books you're spending 100 million on your roster.
That's right.
And so,
but nobody's doing that.
Well, there is no mechanism for that.
Oh, that's right. There's no cap.
There's
nobody doing that.
That's what a cap, and that's why it's almost a misnomer to call it a cap.
Right.
Because all everybody ever gets concerned about is, wait a minute, you're limiting how much we can make and that's what everybody's focusing on. And it's it's ironically, it's the guys that are making 30, 40, 50 million a year going, wait a minute, I'm coming up for, my contract is expiring, I'm going to be a free agent in the next year or two. You put a cap on me, all of a sudden I
can't make that
I
money.
can't double, or I can't, there's restrictions, and I don't know if we like that, and their agents are putting the bug in the ear and that stuff. But the guys who are, whose baseball career may not be as, they may not be as elite players or whatever, but they're still major league players.
Sure.
What are their opportunities to get up to even just middle class, making 10, 15, 20 million?
Yeah.
If that's, if there's no incentive, if teams can decide, this year I spent 75 million on the team last year, we're not going to be competitive. The farm system's not looking that great. I got free agents that I'm not going to re-sign, and I'm going to cut my my roster budget by 20 million this year, and so I'm only going to pay. I'm going to run a roster, 26-man roster at 55 million this year. There's nothing to stop them from doing that. But if you have a cap system in place that says every team has to spend 100 million minimum, now they can't do that.
Yeah.
They can't say, you know what, and I'm going to get revenue sharing because all of that. And
so it sounds to me like the upper echelon of players are against it, and as are the owners, because they don't want to. Well, at least those ones at the bottom who don't want to spend the money.
But see, the thing about it, the owners, you're right. They probably are against it to a degree.
Right.
But they can't publicly be against it.
That's right.
Because they have to be admitting that
I don't want to pay
revenue
these
sharing.
That's right.
And I'm putting it in my pocket.
That's
so
right.
I'm not putting it into the team.
Sorry.
Right. So it's like, we want a cap. We need a cap. Otherwise, we're going to be in trouble. We can't compete without a cap.
Yeah.
And all that. So they're saying that because it's good PR and it's on side with all of the other owners. And then they're unified.
Oh, man.
But the reality is that a cap may or may not serve them, depending on what their, the genuineness, is that a good word?
Sure.
Yeah, anyway, of their intentions are in terms of being competitive.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it brings into question the veracity.
Right.
Here's
The
a
honesty
word,
of what they're
the veracity of the owners and
Yeah.
ownership of certain teams.
Yeah.
And are they policing themselves? I mean, there's upper echelon teams that are pissed with having to share their revenue.
Yeah.
And so, but fine, if we're sharing our revenue, put it back into the team.
That's right. Show us where it's going.
If I'm an upper echelon owner and I'm talking to the Marlins owner, it's like,
Yeah.
privately I can be saying, you need to spend that money.
Yeah.
What are we doing this for? It's supposed to create a more competitive balance. What's happening with it? But are they going to publicly question and ruin and sort of diminish the solidarity or the appearance of a solid front, and how does that serve the purpose with the union and all that? So the reality is we're heading towards labor strife in baseball, which is for the first time in 5 years, like really starting to flourish with the rule changes and things like that have tightened up and sped up the game a little bit. People are starting to get back into baseball is starting to be more competitive in terms of popularity, where it was starting to
dip.
nosedive. Dip is a kind of way to put it.
Nosedive
in the last 5-10 years.
Yeah. Well, I'm really wondering how fans think about this, how you guys think about this. Should there be a cap?
With a floor.
With a floor, but should there be a cap
critical.
or not? What are your feelings on it? Let us know in the comments, and we'll try and get one of those, a few of those comments into our next show. But until next time, keep shooting.
We're hitting the ball hard.
Yeah, you can hit the ball too.
You're out!